Hello and welcome to the Try It Kitchen, where I, your host Sam, make recipes that I've saved for the first time. Today we'll be making apple cider risotto with carrot confetti, a recipe submitted to the Old Farmer's Almanac. We start off by chopping up 2 cups worth of multicolored carrots. These carrots taste just the same as standard orange carrots and are used for presentation, so if all you can find are orange carrots, that's completely alright. I would also recommend deviating from the recipe and julienne these carrots rather than chop, which is when you cut vegetables into strips. Next, we mince half a cup's worth of shallots, which is usually the equivalent of 1 medium shallot, and it's alright if you go a little bit under or over the stated amount in the recipe. We then chop up 2 tablespoons worth of sage, though it looks like I used more. As demonstrated, the best way to do this is to roll up the herbs like a certain illicit plant before mowing through the bundle with your knife. Finally, for our knife work, we'll peel, core, and chop an apple into half-inch pieces. I used a Honeycrisp apple, but any apple you use for cooking will do. I know some people are intimidated by apple coring, as many cooking shows will show an apple core being used, but I assure you, apple coring is easy. All you need to do is cut an apple into sections and trim away the core. Remember, people on cooking shows are professionals trying to impress you. What they do will not necessarily be what you need to do. From there, you treat the apple like you would a vegetable, cutting it into manageable pieces. I didn't even necessarily keep my pieces even. At this point, you would shred some Asiago cheese. However, I don't show that part because I forgot to film it. Plus, I did not use Asiago because I couldn't find any. Luckily, I had Parmesan, which works just as well here because the nutty flavor goes well with apple, and the amount used isn't overpowering. Another substitution I used was sauteing the carrots instead of roasting them in the oven at 350 degrees, a choice I made in order to avoid more cleanup. It uses the same amount of oil that roasting would, so health isn't too much of a concern. Just do what you think is best. If you prefer roasting, that's fine. If you agree with me with sauteing, that's fine too. Now finally get to the apple cider, pouring out 1 cup as well as a glass for ourselves. We then heat the cider into a boiling and pour in the apple pieces, letting them soak for 3 minutes. Finally, we strain out the apple pieces and set them aside before pouring in half a cup of dry white wine. In my case, I used cooking wine, but if it pleases you, you can use something nicer. After this, we pour out 5 cups of vegetable stock and bring it to a boil. The reason for all this is to help maintain an even temperature as we cook the rice later, for a creamy but not clumpy texture. Using the same pan I used to saute the carrots, we'll saute the shallots. This looks like a lot of butter, but it will also be used to coat the rice later. Then add our rice, and stir until it's coated in the leftover butter from the shallots. You'll know all the grains are coated when they're shiny and almost translucent looking. We then add our cider and wine mixture, stirring until almost all of it is absorbed by the rice. We then add in our vegetable stock, pouring in either 1 cup at a time or enough to cover the rice. Once again stirring until all the liquid is gone to ensure our rice doesn't dry out or stick to the bottom of the pan. Then add in our apple pieces, our sage, and our cheese. And finally, we add our sauteed carrots back to the pan. Finally, now that we're done, we garnish with 2 pieces of sage and carrot chips. And now for the taste test. The flavor is amazing, sweet and savory with a lovely herbal taste from the sage. The texture of the rice is creamy, but still al dente. Overall, I would highly recommend trying this if you can. And with that, don't forget to taste for salt.